Hi guys, welcome back to Hair Dry Treatment with me, Soph. Sophie's review. I know I haven't done one for a while, but I'm back at it this week. I've told you the bits between my teeth, and I want to get talking to you guys about football. Hi to you guys tuning in. Got a first and a second there. I hope you're both doing very, very well. But yeah, so of course the biggest game this weekend, the one that we're going to be talking about, is the VAR incident at Liverpool, at United, between United and Liverpool, which I will be touching on in a minute. But first, I want to talk about some of the other games that happened over the weekend, some of the biggest topics over the weekend as well. So I'm going to start with the early kickoff, really. Everton against West Ham. Everton getting the 2-0 win. A big result for them, because if I'm honest, Everton were looking a bit sloppy. They were looking poor. I think that was a massive result for them. My prediction for that game was that Everton were going to nick it. Obviously 2-0 win in the end. Bernard's goal, I think, was magical. I think his footwork in the build-up to that goal, I thought he took too many touches, but he somehow managed to squeeze it in, and I thought it was a fantastic goal. I think Bernard shows in flashes that he has got that in his game. He has got that element with his first touch, his close control. But he drifts in and out of games far too much for my liking. But you know what? A big result for Everton at Goodison Park. I think they needed that, definitely. That's what you guys saying. Excuse my sore throat as well today. I do apologise for that in advance. We will see you lot crying about VAR when it comes back to bite you. You can't wait for you hypocrites. VAR will come back to bite everyone. Adam, I'm guessing that you are a Liverpool fan. Thanks for coming in the chat, Adam. I appreciate it. Let's see what some of you guys are saying. Your title really cracks me up. Glad you saw the funny side of it, Rashford Jawara. Of course, it is all just banter. If you can't take it, then I'm not sorry. I'm not sorry at all. My prediction for the United game was spot on. I said 1-1. Well done to Roberto. We got it spot on. Disdain says, hi, Soph. Long wait till Friday. Yeah, a long way indeed. But you know what? Monday's out the way, and Monday's always the worst one, isn't it? So we've got it out the way. Arsenal playing tonight, of course, as well. But yeah, Everton, a good result for them. Villa as well, another massive result. I actually didn't think they would beat Brighton. They managed to get the win against Brighton. I watched the clip just as well on Twitter of Jack Grealish highlights. And I know that when you see highlight clips and like that, it's not always a true reflection. But you know what? Jack Grealish looked like he was really pulling the strings in that game. He looked like a big part of it. I think he had a goal disallowed as well. And to be honest with you, I think Grealish is one of the players who surprised me this season. I said in the Championship, he looked fantastic. But for me, he's always one who takes too many touches on the ball, he slows it down too much. And I thought he'd get found out in the Premier League. And first few games, especially against Spurs, he had the ball nicked to him on the edge of the area. And Villa were punished for that. But I think every time I've seen him since then, I think he seems to be blossoming, and he's having a decent season in the Premier League. So fair play to him. Fair play to Villa as well. Like I say, that was a big result. I was not expecting them to beat Brighton. Brighton have had a decent start to the season. I was very impressed with that. Ridwan says confident for the next game. Jawad says not a bad point, to be honest. I'm guessing you're talking about the United game. I will definitely get back to that in a minute. Adam says he's not a Liverpool fan. Adam, let me know who you support then. Any fan is welcome in my chat. Any fan, and all we want to do is talk about football. And if you can't take the banter, then come on. This says I'm shocked we got a draw. My week is saved for now. Rashford Jawara says thoughts on the latest Maddison news. Maddison, I think he's a fantastic player. I would love to have him at United. I think he's the kind of player that we lack in the middle, that creative element. I think he seems to be getting better and better the more I see of Maddison. I would not be surprised if we don't try and get him. Is he going to want to come to United in the current state we are in as a club? Who knows? But I would love Maddison at United. He's the kind of player for me that we should be looking at. I just hope that he's not going to be overhyped, because he's English, and we know that often happens with English players. They get overhyped and they turn out to be a bit of a flop. So we shall see. But I would like him definitely at United. Bournemouth against Norwich. I'm not going to talk too much about that one. 0-0. Boring 0-0 draw. I did expect Bournemouth to win, but Norwich again showing that they have got a bit of resilience. And obviously United playing against Norwich next week. I think that's going to be a tough one. We go and draw to Liverpool. I wouldn't be surprised if we go then lose to Norwich, because that's the kind of team that we struggle against. But we shall see. It's at Carrow Road, obviously, so it's going to be an interesting one. They've already beat City there. It all depends how we approach that game. I think when the other team has the ball and we then counter, we're really effective, as we proved yesterday against Liverpool. That's the way that we play now. We're a counter-attacking team. Are Norwich going to be the kind of team that are going to sit in and let us have the ball? And if they are, then that's where we're going to struggle. We saw against City, they play out from the back. It's all about how well we press as well as a team. And I think it's going to be a really tough test for us, especially after the Liverpool game that we just had. I think it might be a different game. I'm a Villa fan, and you can forget about having John McGinn. I do like John McGinn. I think he's an absolute baller. I love his work ethic. He seems like a really good guy to have in the dressing room as well, and obviously Villa fans absolutely love him. And he's another one really who's really surprised me this season. Obviously, you hear his name a lot. I'm from the Midlands, and I hear a lot about John McGinn. But the more that I've seen about him this season, he has impressed me. I've got to be totally honest. I'm not sure we'll actually go for him. But yeah, he's a very good player, and Villa will do well to hold on to him after this season. I genuinely do think that. Hannibal says Man United women. I've got that on my list. Don't worry, I will be touching on that towards the end of this as well. Chelsea beating Newcastle 1-0. I thought Chelsea were going to batter them, to be honest. Well, not batter them, but I thought it was going to be like a 3-1, maybe 3-0. 1-0. As far as I was aware, it was 0-0 till quite late on in that game. So 0-0 till quite late on. Chelsea obviously nicked it towards the end. But yeah, Chelsea I think is surprising a lot this season. Obviously they got battered at Old Trafford, but they didn't get battered. The scoreline made it look like they got battered. Let's face it, we were lucky to win 4-0. Chelsea are a team who have definitely got a way of playing. Lampard is doing a fantastic job there. Young players coming through, they've got a plan, and that's the difference with Ollie. We've got young players, but we don't seem to have a plan. Whereas with Lampard, they've got a clear system in place, a clear plan. Don't forget he's had a transfer ban as well. He's had that to contend with, and I just think he's doing so fantastically well there. And I think, you know what, you have to say fair play and credit where it's due. Nobody expected Chelsea to be doing as well as they are at the minute. Adrian says, I love you, Sophie, as a Liverpool fan. We played poor, we're still 6 points clear. Thank you very much, Adrian. I appreciate that. And that's the thing about Liverpool. That's the mark of champions, isn't it? Like, if you're not playing well, you still grind out results. And I think it was Lallana who said it actually in the post-match interview. Of all players to score, trusted to be Lallana. I knew it was going to happen. But anyway, bagged the goal, and he said, if you can't win, don't lose. And that's the right mentality to have. In the end, Old Trafford, a draw. Gotta say, it's probably a decent point overall. If you're looking at the table, of course, you'd be gutted to lose to a team that are in the bottom of to lose or to draw. Sorry, to a team that are in the bottom of the table if you're Liverpool. But if you take that element out of it and you think that form goes out the window, it's the situation, isn't it? That rivalry, a draw realistically for both teams, isn't the worst result. We were definitely more disappointed coming out of that with the draw, because I genuinely believe that we could have easily won that game I think the second we changed. And Pereira went onto the right hand side. I think we lost all control in that game. We went too defensive, and I think that then played into Liverpool's hand. They got more control of the ball. They were getting far too much of the ball in the middle of the park, and I think it was just an amount of time really before they were going to score. I think they were always destined to score, and I think we played into their hands when we did that. Yes, I agree. English people should stop overhyping these players. Might not bite now, but if it's going to be bad in the future, don't get me wrong though. Example, Holland, so many ballers, but they don't hype. Yeah, I think. Well, look at Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire is a good defender. Don't get me wrong, but £80 million, come on. Like, English players get overhyped so much, and especially coming to United, because people know that we've got the money and they know right now we are desperate. The price just inflates so much, and I think that will happen with Maddison. I think we'll end up overpaying, but I think he is absolutely fantastic. Dizzy saying I need a water break. I've genuinely got a sore throat. I will have a drink, but I've got a sore throat. That's why my voice is the way it is. Paul says, hi, so congratulations on your 14-0 win. A ruthless score. It was a very ruthless score, definitely. Yeah, it was a close game, that one. Close game, it went right to the wire. Thank you for that, Paul. Do United need to sign another centre-back in January or next summer to partner Maguire? I want to talk a bit about Lindelof. I said it a while back. I said Lindelof for me gets bullied far too much. I think he's good with the ball at his feet. He reads the game well. He's fairly quick. But I genuinely think that in the air he struggles physically. He's quite vulnerable, and I think he got really lucky yesterday with the incident with Mane where it hit Mane's arm, obviously. But I think he got really lucky there because, again, he was out-muscled, he was out-strength, and we got very, very, very lucky. I'm not drinking vodka and Coke now, sadly. No, I'm definitely not. So in terms of another centre-back, I personally like Tuanzebe, and I was gutted that he was injured. And I was petrified when I saw Rojo going into the starting lineup. But you know what? Rojo also is the kind of player you want in that game because we all know what he's like. He's a bit of a nutter. Definitely leaves his foot in. And in a rival game like that, you want it. You just don't need too much because you don't end up with a red card. But I thought Rojo did okay. I thought defensively did okay. It was a lapse in concentration from him, from Ashley Young at the back post. That obviously resulted in the Liverpool goal. But like I say, all in all, not the worst result for both teams. Not the best result. We definitely came out of it more disappointed because of the way that we played, especially in that first half. I think we could have done more. Thank you to Nippon Sharma for the super chat. I really do appreciate it. He said, when will you start FIFA 20 career mode? I haven't forgotten about it. I have still got the tweet saved with everyone's names on there. My PlayStation at the moment sounds like it's about to blow up, hence why I haven't done it just yet. But it is on the agenda. I just need to get me a new PlayStation. But I promise you that will be happening. And I'm looking forward to doing that as well. Looking forward to getting battered on FIFA because I'm absolutely awful on FIFA 20. I can't defend and I can't attack, and that's not a good combination. It's a bit like United at the minute, isn't it? But hey. Next one, I'm going to talk about. What should we talk about? Leicester. Leicester are a team who are doing well this season, aren't they? Beat Burnley 2-1. Tough game, Burnley. I always call them the stoppers. They stop other teams from scoring. They're always a bit of a nightmare to play against. And then you've got Ashley Barnes, who can always bag at the other end. And I think Leicester at the minute, I'm not going to say they're going to be champions, but they're near the top and they're looking fantastically well. And players like Maddison, I also think Pereira, the fullback, is fantastic as well. Tielemans, we've already mentioned in the middle of the park. A lot of United fans wanted him, and I think they've got a good basis, a good core squad to build on. And I think they're going to finish fairly high this season. I think they'll finish above United at this rate. You can't argue with that. So yeah, Leicester, impressive win against Burnley. Again, they keep trying to finding goals near the end of the game, Leicester as well. And losing Maguire doesn't seem that much of a big loss. People expected them to really struggle without Maguire. They seem to be coping perfectly fine without him. Who is your favourite player of the season so far, says Bramford? I'm going to have to say Dan James. I think he's our most exciting player. I do think he's a bit lightweight. Like yesterday, he was getting absolutely clattered left, right, and centre. I think he's a bit lightweight. He's only little, isn't he? But I think the ball for the Rashford goal, the run for the Rashford goal, I just think he's our surprise element this season. I think he's exceeded expectations of everyone. And like I say, he's our only attacking threat, really. Rashford, when he's on form, yes, is fantastic. But you have to say James has been our most consistent player, definitely. So Dan James is my player of the season so far. Someone's touching on the racial abuse. Let's see if I can find out. I think it was towards Trent Alexander-Arnold. I read a tweet about this today, and apparently a fan was escorted off the premises. For me, rivalry aside, racism doesn't belong anywhere, doesn't belong in football, doesn't belong anywhere. That fan should not be allowed anywhere near Old Trafford or a football game ever again. Definitely should be charged, and I think it's absolutely disgusting. And I'd say that regardless of the club, regardless of the game, regardless of the situation, racism should never exist in any sport, in any context. And I think it's absolutely disgusting. There's no room for racism, as Diz just said there. And for me, I'm totally against it. And it definitely needs to be dealt with harshly. And yeah, there's no excuses for it. There's no excuses for it. And it's not acceptable, regardless of the rivalry, regardless how you feel about Liverpool. I absolutely hate Liverpool, but no way is racism right, not at all. It was Chamberlain, apparently, not Trent Alexander. So Chamberlain was where the racist abuse was aimed towards. The tweet I said earlier, I'm pretty sure it did say Alexander Arnold. But either way, regardless of who it is, I think it's disgusting. And like I said, they should be punished severely. Should not be allowed near a football pitch again. Rashford will now get a new contract again yesterday. I saw some stick towards Rashford after the game yesterday, and I thought that was a bit harsh. I think when Rashford went off, we lost that element of an outlet. I don't like it when Rashford drops deep. I think he needs to play on the shoulder more, because I think if he played into the channels, he absolutely floored Van Dijk yesterday at one point. I think he always battles. Even if he doesn't win the ball, he at least battles. Where Martial is more of a player who comes to feet, Rashford is the guy you want to be running into the channels. Maybe he was tired, maybe that's why the change was made, but I think when he went off, we kind of lacked that outlet, really. That's why the ball kept coming back. But I thought he did all right yesterday. I think his movement for the goal was absolutely fantastic. The way he went towards the near post and spun off to the back post, I think it was fantastic. And obviously the pass was brilliant as well. And I think it was harsh, really. You know what? He's bagged the goal. Fair play to him. He had a few decent runs as well. I think people need to stop getting on his back as much, if I'm being totally honest. And I'm not saying that Rashford hasn't been poor. He has. But yesterday he scored. And a lot of his goals have come against the top six. And that says a lot, really. He's not consistent enough, and I completely agree with that. His decision-making at times is absolutely woeful. But yesterday, I thought he was decent, and like I say, he scored. So I think people were harsh to get on his back yesterday. And one thing I will say is I do not think we take enough risks in our play, and I don't think we create enough chances in open play. I mean, yes, we scored yesterday, but again, I don't think we create enough chances. We don't look like we're going to score many from open play, and I think that was evident again yesterday. I really do, and I think we were a lot more positive, but we just don't seem to be creating those chances. I think when the ball went the other end, Liverpool had a few more decent chances than us, and I think that says a lot, really. Going forwards, we lack ideas. We've also lacked that conviction as well, and Rashford is definitely one who obviously comes under that bracket of lacking conviction a lot of the time. It's sad that we're in 2019 and racism is still occurring. I completely agree with that. Robert says, we were terrible. Liverpool fan, glad to have a point. Robert, I completely agree. And like I say, that is a sign of champions. If you can still get a result when you're playing that poor, then obviously that is a massive step towards a title. And you have to hold your hands up as United fans and say, you know what, we used to do that all the time. If we, like Lallana says, if you can't win, do not lose. And that attitude definitely obviously transpired. Daniel James was man of the match for me, and it was a shame that some Liverpool players went in really hard on him. Van Dijk challenge was a booking, in my opinion. He did have a few hard challenges at the same time. I do think Dan James is a little bit lightweight. He's very, very small. And with his pace, a lot of the time, realistically, if you can't catch him, you stop him. That's just tactical. That's what you have to do. If you're playing against someone with pace, if you play football in the chat, you'll understand that. If you're playing against someone that quick, the only way that you're going to stop him is by fouling him. And yes, he did take a few clatterings. I completely agree. But you expect that from a derby. I think he was just unfortunate to be on the receiving end of some of them challenges. McTominay flew into a few challenges as well. I think it's just part and parcel of it, and I like to see that. It's refreshing to see that in a derby, people actually getting stuck in, especially from a United side of things. We haven't seen that enough. We haven't seen that bit of tenacity. We haven't seen that bit of a bite in the challenge. And yesterday, I think we did, and that's the least we expected. I remember on my preview talking about it and saying the least we expected was to see a bit of spirit and a bit of fight. And I think we did see that yesterday. I think we were a bit tired towards the end of the second half, but we did see that on the whole. This says Timo Werner, please sign in January. Good shout. It's a good shout. I would love to see him at United as well. Man City, though, obviously we talk about Liverpool and title. Man City obviously got their 2-0 win. It was a tense game, but again, not playing amazingly well. They managed to get the result at the end of it. Again, it's a sign of a good team and you can do that. City, obviously, still beyond Liverpool. Liverpool's still top of the league, and it's going to be interesting. It's going to be a 2-horse race again. I think we all knew that at the start of the season anyway. My prediction was that Liverpool are going to win the league this season. I predicted that they would. City would go all out for the Champions League. Let me know in the chat, obviously, guys, if you feel differently or if you agree with that. But for me, my prediction remains, I think Liverpool are going to win the league. I hate saying that, but I think Liverpool are going to win the league, and I think City, I'll get second, but City, I think, will go all out for the Champions League this season. Pep, obviously, is yet to win that with City, so I think that'll be one thing that he's aiming for. But yeah, the racism thing I think is disgusting. That was my next on my agenda. It's horrible, but I'm going to stay in Manchester for the next talking point. Obviously, the ladies' team beating City in the Conti Cup. Fantastic news. Terrific performance. It's sad to hear that there's some racist abuse towards Natalie as well from the United Barmy Army. I heard there's some racist abuse targeted towards her, and that's even in women's football. And like you said, just this 2019, racism shouldn't still exist. For me, they're absolute morons. There's no need for it. It's disgusting. And it needs to be dealt with efficiently. So, yeah, obviously, regards to Nat, and I hope she's fine. But it's just horrible to hear that happens, even at that kind of level in women's football. It's disgusting. I heard about a Yeovil game being abandoned as well. And just racism is just not accepting it. It can't be tolerated. Cannot be tolerated at all. So, I'm a United fan, but I'm very angry that Chelsea play youth, Manchester United don't. I think the thing with Chelsea as well, as I mentioned earlier, Lampard has got the youth drilled. They know the system. They know the way they're playing. Abraham is blossoming as well in the Premier League at the minute. He's banging in goals. He looks confident. And that's what Lampard has given them. Whereas United at the minute, we seem to be lacking that. We haven't got the conviction anyway going forwards. We haven't got the strength in the squad. We know that. But it's not a good moment to put young players in either. A lot of people are judging young players when they're coming on. Greenwood, for example, is being brought on to score goals in a team that, let's face it, aren't really creating any chances. And you can't send a 17-year-old on 18 now and go, change the game. Because there's too much pressure on his young shoulders. It's a poor team to throw them into. It's not a good situation. So don't judge them fully on that. That's my opinion on it. Home ad Marcus, hope you're good. Stranger. Zlatan in January on a short-term contract until the end of the season. I'll take Zlatan back. I would. I know a lot of people are disagreeing with me, but he's a goal scorer. I think he's the kind of character, the kind of leader that we need. Yes, he's not quick and he lacks pace, but for me, he's a target man. He will score goals. And like I say, he's that kind of character that we're lacking at the minute, that arrogance. So I would take him back. I know a lot of people disagree with me. A lot of people said don't go back. But I would take him. In the chat, let me know what you guys think. I would love to see Zlatan back in the Premier League. I think he's a character who's greatly missed, and I think, you know what, he can still do it, even at the age he's at now. He's still banging in goals for fun. He's never really relied on pace, to be honest, so I don't think he really misses that. It's just, he's just a phenomenal player, and like I say, a great character to have. So I'll take him back, and I think he still loves United. I think that's evident as well. And a big point is talking about going back and stuff. Jose obviously was at Old Trafford yesterday. A lot of fans were chanting his name, applauding him. I think United fans still love Jose. I think he still loves United. Would you take Jose Mourinho back if Solskjaer was sacked? Personally, I wouldn't. And people saying Allegri in the chat as well. Allegri for me is either what kind of guy because he's a defensive manager and people are against defensive manager. Jose got stick for being defensive, but then when you look at it and you look at how we are playing now, he got us to second in the league. How on earth did he do that? He said that was the best achievement of his career, getting United to second in his career, second in the table with that squad. You have to say that was a ridiculous achievement. When you look at it now, it was mad. When Mane got felled to the build for the goal, see holding wrong leg, just laugh, Sophie, says Neil. I think he's talking about Origi there when Lindelof, obviously, he did touch him, and I genuinely thought it was going to be overruled. I thought it was going to be given as a foul because he did touch him, but he did go down very elaborately. I thought there was a sniper in the crowd. Like, he went down elaborately, and like you say, he was holding the wrong leg. I didn't notice that. It was very funny. But I did think it was going to get overturned because he did touch him. He didn't, but yeah, we'll take it as United fans. We'll take it. VARCUS, RASHFORD, as I've just called my video. But yeah, a big game tonight in the Prem. Arsenal, obviously competing with us and Spurs for banter FC, we keep saying. Sheffield United, at Sheffield United. I think Sheffield are a physical team and they've got enough to unnerve Arsenal today. I still think Arsenal are going to nick it. But what are your guys' score predictions? I'm going to say 2-1 to Arsenal. I think Sheffield will score. I hope I'm wrong, and I hope it's the reverse. I hope Sheffield nick it, but I think Arsenal will just about nick it. Arsenal's away form is not the best, though. That's one thing that we definitely need to think about. But I just think Aubameyang, obviously, is the informed striker. People saying that they wouldn't take him at United are absolutely stupid. Aubameyang, I think, is a fantastic striker. Just imagine him in a much better team. I think he'd be phenomenal. But yeah, I'm going to say 2-1 to Arsenal is my prediction for that game. I think it's going to be close. A few people saying a draw, 3-1 to Sheffield. But yeah, I'm hoping Arsenal drop points. I just think they're going to nick it today. I genuinely do. Naeem agrees with me, 2-1. But talking about banter FC, Arsenal springs that to mind, of course. Spurs against Watford, a 1-1 draw. I saw Spurs were losing. I was at Alton Towers at the time. I couldn't believe it. I genuinely thought Spurs were going to get out before the international break. Come at a good time for them. Thought they were going to bounce back, and they haven't. It's an absolutely shocking result against Watford, who are bottom of the league. Pochettino, how much longer has he actually got at Spurs? How much longer do you think Pochettino has got? And United fans, because of the way that Spurs are playing right now, would you still take Pochettino? Because I know there's a lot of United fans who wanted Pochettino, obviously, at Old Trafford to replace Ole. And there's a few fans there who are backtracking and changing their mind because of the way they're playing. For me, Pochettino, with the amount of backing that he's had at Spurs, which hasn't been a lot, I think he's done a fantastic job. Yes, they're playing poor at the moment, but I think on the whole he's done a great job. He hasn't really had much backing from the board there because of the new stadium and everything that's going on there. But the new stadium doesn't seem to be working out for them. I know Pochettino commented on the atmosphere there, saying that it wasn't helping the players. But at the end of the day, it's a bit like the situation with us at Old Trafford. The atmosphere isn't the best. I mean, it was decent yesterday, but on the whole, it's not the best. And it's because, realistically, on the pitch, there's not a lot happening to get the fans off their seat. We're not playing attacking football. We're not playing attractive football. So fans are getting, let's face it, they're getting bored. And is that happening now at Spurs? So Pochettino, would you take him? Allegri all day over Poch. What about Laurent Blanc? Very good point. He's obviously another one who's available. Blanc, for me, he's quite well suited to United. Blanc would be a decent manager to get in. Sully says yes in a heartbeat. Expressions is mad. Poor fella. Don't feel sorry for him. He's loving it, really. Blanc is a crap manager, says Roberto. Roberto, obviously, you know a lot about Allegri. I know you commented in my last video about him being linked to United. He said in club football he'd be fantastic in the league, for example, but then in Europe he would struggle. At the moment we're nowhere near Europe, so maybe Allegri is the right guy to have because we're nowhere near achieving Europe right now. But for me, Pochettino, I would take him. I think he's suited to the Premier League. Like I say, he hasn't had much backing from the board at Spurs. I think if he was backed properly, I think they would have been closest to achieving the title. I think it's kind of drying up for him now. whether that's because he's had enough for not being supported or whatever it is, for whatever reason. And I would still take him at United. I would still have him at Old Trafford as our manager. But he definitely needs better backing, and that's why we always say our board is the issue at United. If Pochettino comes to us, is he going to have much better backing? It's conundrum, isn't it? It's conundrum. What do you think of Palace this season? They beat us, but that doesn't say a lot, does it, realistically? Thank you for the super chat, I appreciate it. I think Palace are one of them teams where you kind of go ups and downs, and I go through a few good games where you get decent results and then you dip off again. I think you always end up around the same kind of place. I don't think you'll go down this season. Watford obviously looks shocking. You're not quite that bad. I think you'll get a few big results. Hopefully, you beat City again this season with another world of a goal. Like I say, against the big teams, you seem to really stand up and make a game of it. Really, I was expecting a tighter game against City. I was expecting Palace to at least score, but I think it's too early to call on Palace. Like I say, very up and down. I don't think they'll go down this season, but I think you always finish roughly towards the bottom half of the table, and I think it'll be the same again this season. Zaha is a big turning point. If Zaha turns up for Palace, I think you're a different team. Look what happened to Pep when he attacked Wolves. He lost by attacking a lot. Yeah, and that again is because Wolves have obviously got that plan. Like I've said before, Nuno, for me, is a fantastic manager. I would take Nuno at United. And one good example of Nuno's coaching is if you look at Adama Traore. He was a player who came in and looked like a headless chicken. He used to run around, give the ball away. His first touch was shocking. He was always out of position. He was always losing the ball in risky places. Now he's playing right wing back in a system that he knows well because of Nuno's coaching and playing fantastically well in that system as well. And he just seems to be excelling game by game. And Adama, let's face it, his pace and his power, he can be absolutely unplayable. If he sorts his game out, he can be unplayable. And I think Nuno, it just shows, and he's just one example, but I think it just shows that with good coaching, players can excel. Dan James is one for me. With a bit of good coaching, I think he can be fantastic. And he's playing well right now. No, I'm not saying he's not playing well. He's playing fantastic. I've said he's a bit lightweight, but other than that, I think Dan James, with the right coaching, I think he can be a fantastic player, very similar to what Adama Traore has done at Wolves. I think now he knows his position, he knows his job. And like I say, he's been really, really effective. He can be unplayable in that system, definitely. And I would take Nuno. In a heartbeat. My dad won't like me saying that because he absolutely loves Nuno at Wolves. But I think he'd be fantastic. Director of football, obviously, is something that we've been screaming out for ages. There's a lot of people saying, Van der Sar's going to come in. And it's when the transfer rumours go quiet, like this little niggle about director of football keeps coming to light. And I don't know if that's just to sell papers or wherever it is, because we know that happens a lot with United. But I genuinely think our recruitment over the last few years has not been good enough. I think Ollie's recruitment this season with James, Wan-Bissaka and Maguire has been decent, definitely, and they're 3 positives to take into this season. But I think it's obvious that we need a clear plan. It's obvious that we need a clear transfer plan. We need a profile of a player that we're going to sign. And that's what we need to stick to. I mean, we haven't got a plan at the minute. My perfect example is Robertson from Hull. I remember looking at Robertson when he was playing at Hull and thinking, he's decent. He was young. He looked sharp. Obviously, like I say, defensively he looked solid, but going forward he looked really exciting. And I remember saying at the time, like Andy Robertson, he looks like a very good player and he'll be one for the future. Why didn't we look at players like that back then? If I'm spotting it, surely we should have scouts who are seeing that. And that's the thing, we're missing out on these kind of players. And that's down to our recruitment. And that's where I think we need a director of football. And I think that's something that we're really lacking. And that's why I think it's harsh to judge Ollie solely. Yes, some of his tactics you have to question. Relegation form, you have to question. I completely agree with that. But I just think that if you put the blame purely on his shoulders, what about what's happened with the previous managers that we've had in as well? There's obviously problems that run a lot deeper than just Ollie. And I think he's trying to get some of the deadwood out. I think he's genuinely trying. His coaching and his tactics and the substitutions being too late, I completely agree that's something that Ollie needs to be judged on because that's what's happening on the pitch. But I think behind him, let's face it, it's a bit of a mess. And that's where we need to come to a compromise. Yes, fair enough, we get a new manager, but we need to get a new board as well. I think it's got to be a clear slate right from the top. Genuinely, that's my opinion. I don't think it's fair that all of the blame falls on Ollie's shoulders because the players, for me, I think there's a mentality issue. I've already said it. I think when the players get comfortable, they slack off. Look at how well they were playing when Ollie first came in, and then to how bad we've been recently. Yesterday, again, we raised our game against Liverpool. Still didn't create enough chances, but we raised our game, showed that fight and that spirit. For me, we don't just do that against Liverpool. You do that week in, week out, regardless of who you're playing against. You should be up for it, and you should be fighting for that badge. And we haven't been doing that. That's where the players need to take some of it. So it's not all on Ollie's head, and I completely agree with that. It's not on Ollie's head, but he has got some questions that need answering, definitely. I think he's the face of it. Ollie's in the face of it, so he gets more slated than anyone else. And I don't think he should be. Yes, he needs questioning, but I think the problems, let's face it, since Fergie left, the problems run a lot deeper than just him. Managers get slated because Ollie is an easy target, exactly. And I'll hold my hands up and I'll say, you know what, I fell in love with the idea of Ollie taking over. It was emotional. Yes, maybe I did call it too soon, but if you think about it, like, we've had, 5 managers now, and the same group of players have flopped under each of the 5 managers. After that honeymoon spell, as you like it, we've slacked off. We need to see the players performing week in, week out. Let's face it, we haven't seen that. We all know what players step up and what players don't, and they need questioning as well. And we've already said about the board that needs to change. Director of football needs to come in, and I completely agree with that. That's why I say the problems run a lot deeper than just a manager. Ollie's just the face of it, and he takes the brunt of it, sadly. Wolves have that mentality. We turn up for big games, small teams we lose. I don't know if it's a mentality thing against. That's why I think Ollie comes unstuck against the small. I don't want to be disrespectful, but say the lesser teams, because then we're relied on to have the ball. They sit back and we struggle to break them down, and that's a lack of creativity. That's obviously something that we need to work on in the training ground, breaking teams down. When they got 2 banks of 4 against us, we really struggle. Whereas yesterday, because Liverpool had the majority of the ball, it was more about us counter-attacking, which is obviously the kind of team we are. We can do that. But when a team doesn't do that, the lesser teams, for example, that's where we really struggle, and that's something that we need to work out. We need to be better in those kind of games. Have we got the personnel to be better in those kind of games? I'm not sure. For me, Rashford, it drops far too deep, far too often. He needs to play on the shoulder a lot more and run the channels, because he makes stuff happen when he's doing that. Even if he just runs at someone and wins a throw-in or a corner, he makes something happen. But when he's coming feet and dropping too deep, we saw it yesterday. When the ball gets pushed up, it's constantly coming back again, and that's where we struggle. Question, VARCUS Rashford. Obviously, VAR led to the Rashford goal. The decision to overturn the challenge by Lindelof led to the Rashford goal, hence why I've done the little pun of VARCUS Rashford. So, thoughts on the midfield yesterday against Liverpool midfield? I thought Fred did well. I thought Fred really worked his socks off. I thought he screened the defence really well, gave the ball away once, but I think he was always trying to make something happen, and I was fairly impressed with him yesterday. I think he played well. So yeah, Fred Flintstone, as I like to call him, because for me he's been poor. I think he did a decent job in there yesterday. I think you got to say credit where it was due, and I think he was decent screening that back 4. And I think, like I say, he gave the ball away once in a risky situation, but other than that, I thought he did well. And I was impressed with him. I was impressed with most of the players yesterday. I think everyone battled. There was a lapse in concentration, let's face it, that caused their goal. But other than that, the only thing I'm going to say, the negative, is that we should have created more chances and we should have gone on to win that game by more. Liverpool were there for the taking, especially in that first half. But again, we're just not positive enough. We're not taking enough risks. And whether that's just because we haven't got enough conviction going forwards, or if it's because genuinely we struggle, or if it's because it's tactically we've been told not to do that, I'm not sure what it is. But like I say, the second that Pereira dropped deeper and we shoved one up front and we dropped into a more defensive situation, we played into Liverpool's hands, because then they had the majority of the ball. Like I say, Rashford kept dropping deep. We had no outlet and it just kept coming back and coming back. James, the actor, obviously, for me, I just think James is really lightweight. Like I've already said, I know a lot of people deem it as diving a lot of times, but for me, he's just tiny, and I think he just gets absolutely battered. There's been a few occasions where he has dived, of course, but I think yesterday he just got absolutely battered, to be honest with you. You need an Aguero, Aubameyang, Kane level striker, but you won't get it in January. It's harder to. In Marble, I completely agree with that. We haven't got a goal scorer. Rashford, for me, should be playing out wide if he's playing at all. He's not a natural goal scorer. We need that kind of striker. But yeah, you're right. In January, we're going to struggle, because teams aren't going to want to sell their goal scorers in January. Why would they? And we'd have to pay madness of money to do that. Too bad he did not get that shot on. Like, Fred played well. He did. Like I say, he absolutely ran his socks off. He really did. And like I say, take my hat up for him. Victor says Arsenal ain't dropping no points though. Victor, let me know what your score prediction is. I've gone for 2-1 to Arsenal in that game. I think it'd be a tight game. Sheffield obviously are a physical team. I think they'll obviously pressure Arsenal, but I just think that with Aubameyang in the team, I think you've always got a goal, and I think you'll nick it. So 2-1 was my prediction to yourselves. Let me know what you think about that one. Rashford destroyed Van Dijk. He did absolutely floor him. You know what? That was the highlight of the game for me because Liverpool fans always go on about Van Dijk. I was so pleased that happened. But, I'm not one of these fans who's going to keep tweeting the clip about it because at the end of the day, we didn't win the game. We didn't win the game, so who am I to start mugging off Liverpool fans because at the end of the day, we shared the points. So I'll leave it at that. But, yeah, it was a good moment, definitely. Dembele from Lyon is a great forward, and it's been mentioned a lot. It's been linked a lot to United. Yeah, I would take him. But again, in January, we're talking about mad money to get players in. With Man United, we're desperate. People are going to charge us stupid money for players regardless, I think. But yeah, we shall see. Victor says it all depends on the team that Emery puts out. Hopefully, Laka, Tierney, and Bellerin will be back. That would do it for us. Yeah, I think Tierney, when I've ever seen him play in the Europa League the other week, I think he looked fantastic, to be fair. Going forwards, he looked sharp. And I think he'll definitely boost Arsenal. And hopefully he's going to start. I'd like to see him, to be fair. I haven't seen enough of him, so I'd like to see it. And P. Conrad says Sophie as manager, Soph Shah. Yeah, employ me. I'll take the job. Or give me director of football. I'll take that as well. I spotted Andy Robertson back when he's at Hull. Give me that job. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in. As always, absolute pleasure to talk to you guys, and I appreciate it. If you haven't subscribed already, please do hit that sub button. I appreciate it. As you all know, I'm a United fan, but I like to talk about all football. So yeah, please do hit that sub button. Drop a like on the video as well. Bring back Mariman, says Marcus. Yeah, bring back Fellaini, that plan B option for us. But yeah, please do drop a like on the video. Obviously, if I haven't managed to answer your chat, please do drop a comment on the video as well, and I'll get back to you that way. My FIFA streams will be coming back soon once my PlayStation 4 is not about to take off or set on fire. Promise you that'll be up and running very soon. I'll be back on Wednesday with a video with Meg. Again, talk about football in general, touching on the women's game as well. It should be an interesting one. So yeah, have a lovely evening, guys. Obviously, Sheffield, Arsenal tonight. Let's see how that one goes. Hopefully Arsenal drop some points, but I've got to say I don't think it's going to happen. All in all, enjoy it. Have a good one. Take care. Cheers, guys.